Zodiac Killer. A name that is overly famous worldwide. Almost anyone who explores the true crime genre knows or has heard of this name. He was a highly arrogant and dangerous serial perpetrator. But the most special thing about Zodiac lies in the letters containing ciphers he left for humanity. There are a total of 4 ciphers intricately crafted and sent to us in 1969. From then until now, humanity has only successfully decoded 2 out of 4. Even one of the 2 was only cracked recently in 2020. That means it took exactly 51 years. The remaining 2 ciphers will probably take a very long time, or humanity might never be able to fully decode them. I really wanted to understand the actual mechanics of these bizarre characters, so I tried to find sources from many places, and from the very people who successfully cracked it in 2020. Finally, I got a relative understanding of Zodiac's ciphers. So in today's video, let's walk through the dark path of this notorious phantom. Let's try to analyze the psychology of the Zodiac Killer. Even though we don't know who he really is, we will analyze his psychology through his criminal behaviors. And especially today, in this video, I will try to bring you the easiest explanations to understand about Zodiac's ciphers. Definitely, after watching this video, you can create a cipher exactly like this notorious perpetrator's. A cipher that took the FBI and researchers 51 years to crack. This video will be very special and interesting. Hello, I am the Chilling. Let's get right into the cases of the Zodiac Phantom. December 20th, 1968. A couple, David Faraday, 17, and Betty Lou Jensen, 16, were dating inside a car in a secluded area in northern San Francisco. Around 11 p.m., an attacker used a weapon to strike them from outside the car multiple times. David was struck in the head while in the car. Betty ran outside and was struck multiple times in the back. Both did not survive. July 4th, 1969. This is America's Independence Day. Darlene Farron, 22, told her helper she was going to buy fireworks, but actually went on a date with Michael Majo, 19. The couple was on the road when suddenly chased by a car, causing them to crash into a tree. The car left for about 5 minutes, then returned. A man stepped down and began striking intensely at the 2 victims. After acting, the perpetrator turned to leave, but hearing Michael groaning, he returned, struck 2 more times at each person and then left. Miraculously, Michael survived while Darlene did not. Right after causing the incident, the perpetrator went to a public phone booth right in front of the police chief's office, made a call to the police, and voluntarily confessed to being the one who carried out both these cases. After the 2 incidents above, 3 people lost their lives and 1 miraculously escaped. We can see his method in the first 2 cases is identical, using a weapon to attack from outside the car. We see he cared about the ultimate result, rather than enjoying the act itself. This name still showed hesitation when leaving for 5 minutes and then returning to strike again. The details show he was not someone who acts crazily and unprofessionally. Some of the confusion above shows this might be his first time committing a crime. However, his audacity calling the police tells us many things. First, he is a reckless person. Second, he called from a public phone right in front of the police station, showing he loves mocking the police. Third, he shows signs of heavy narcissism and high ego. In the first case, the police didn't find him, so he called to confess because he didn't want to lose the credit for taking lives. He wanted to be acknowledged and wanted to be chased, just like the perpetrator Luca Magnotta. Moving to the next events, these will clearly prove our psychological analysis above. July 31st, 1969. The perpetrator sent 3 letters to 3 major U.S. newspapers. When putting these 3 letters together, it forms a complete one. In the letter, he admitted to causing the 2 cases, listing the details like the type of weapon, the ammo used, characteristics of the victims, etc. Everything was to assert ownership. Along with those 3 letters were 3 segments of a mysterious code. The first code actually was quickly solved just a few days later by a teacher and his wife. We will decode this cipher in the later part of the video. Right now, let's talk briefly about its content. In that code, he said, he is interested in taking lives and he does it to collect slaves for his afterlife. August 7, 1969, he sent another long letter to continue giving evidence showing he was the real perpetrator. Also in this letter, for the first time, he voluntarily called himself Zodiac. Until now, no one understands why he chose that name. The behaviors like sending letters and trying hard to prove he was the perpetrator showed that our analysis above is very reasonable. He is reckless, he likes to mock the police and has narcissism. Desperate to be known, with a bit of psychosis believing that the more lives he takes, the more slaves he will have in the afterlife. The Zodiac Killer. A name that is globally infamous, a phantom that has haunted the history of criminology for decades. He was a highly arrogant and dangerous serial perpetrator. But what truly sets the Zodiac apart are the cryptic letters and complex ciphers he left behind. Out of the 4 ciphers he sent in 1969, only 2 have been successfully cracked. One of them took humanity 51 years to decode, finally yielding its secrets only in 2020. Today we will walk through the dark path of this notorious figure and analyze the psychology behind his actions. Using insights from the very experts who cracked his codes, I will provide the most detailed and accessible explanation of the Zodiac ciphers ever presented. By the end of this video, you will understand the mechanics of a code that baffled the FBI for over half a century. The nightmare began on December 20, 1968. A young couple, David Faraday and Betty Lou Jensen, were on a date in a secluded area in northern San Francisco. Around 11 p.m., an assailant approached their car and struck them multiple times from the outside. David was struck while still inside the vehicle, and Betty was struck as she tried to flee. Neither survived. Then, on July 4, 1969, American Independence Day, Darlene Ferrin and Michael Mageau were ambushed in their car at Blue Rock Springs Park. A man approached and opened fire intensely. After the initial attack, the perpetrator began to leave but returned when he heard Michael groaning, firing 2 more times into each victim. Miraculously, Michael survived but Darlene did not. Following this, the perpetrator called the police from a public booth directly across from the police station to claim responsibility for both this incident and the previous year's attack. These early incidents reveal a specific pattern: attacking victims in isolated locations while they were inside their vehicles. This perpetrator focused on the outcome of his actions rather than the process, yet he showed signs of hesitation, as seen when he left and then returned to the scene at Blue Rock Springs. His decision to call the police from such a high-risk location indicates a reckless nature, a desperate need for recognition, and a desire to mock law enforcement. He was a narcissist who wanted to be acknowledged and chased, much like a dark performer on a public stage. On July 31, 1969, the Zodiac sent 3 letters to major newspapers, each containing a portion of a mysterious cipher. He provided intimate details of the crimes to prove his identity. The first cipher, known as the Z408, was solved within days by a schoolteacher and his wife. It revealed a chilling message: "I like taking lives because it is so much fun. It is more fun than killing wild animals because man is the most dangerous animal of all." He claimed he was collecting slaves for his afterlife. The terror escalated on September 27, 1969, at Lake Berryessa. Brian Hartnell and Cecilia Shepard were approached by a man wearing a bizarre executioner-style hood with the Zodiac's cross-circle symbol on the chest. He claimed to be an escaped prisoner and tied them up. However, he then pulled out a blade and struck them repeatedly. Brian survived, but Cecilia tragically passed away. The perpetrator then wrote the dates of his crimes on the door of the victim's car, showing his arrogance was reaching new heights. He was no longer just using firearms. He was becoming more calculated and bold. The final confirmed attack occurred on October 11, 1969. Taxi driver Paul Stein was struck from behind by his passenger in San Francisco. The Zodiac took a piece of the victim's bloody shirt and sent it to the police as proof, taunting them for nearly catching him. After this, he focused on psychological warfare through letters. The Z340 cipher, sent on November 8, 1969, became one of the greatest mysteries in history. It took until 2020 for a team of experts, David Orenchak, Sam Blake and Jarl Van Eyck, to finally crack it using advanced software that tested over 650,000 solutions. The Zodiac had used a complex diagonal transposition method. He wrote the message in a grid of 17 columns and 9 rows, then read the letters diagonally, moving 1 row down and 2 columns to the right. He then replaced these jumbled letters with special symbols and intentionally included spelling errors to further confuse investigators. The decoded message taunted, "I hope you are having lots of fun in trying to catch me. I am not afraid of the gas chamber because it will send me to paradise all the sooner." The remaining ciphers, Z13 and Z32, remain unsolved, likely because they are too short to provide a reliable pattern. Z13 is rumored to contain his real name. In his final verified letter in 1974, he claimed to have taken 37 lives, though no evidence supports this. Was he a genius? Evidence suggests otherwise. His ciphers were difficult primarily because of his chaotic methods and errors, not refined brilliance. He was a coward who stopped his physical activities once he was nearly caught, choosing instead to hide behind letters to maintain his terrifying persona. He was a man driven by narcissism and a desperate thirst for fame. We hope that one day the final ciphers will be solved and the true identity of the Zodiac will be revealed, bringing final justice to the families of the victims. As we conclude our investigation, we must ask ourselves, was the Zodiac a genius or just a man who knew how to exploit the chaos of his time? Evidence suggests he was far more flawed than the legends portray. He made frequent spelling mistakes, his codes were difficult primarily because of their errors, and he was a coward who hid behind ink and paper once the police grew close. The true tragedy of the Zodiac is not the mystery he left behind, but the innocent lives he stole. David, Betty Lou, Darlene, Cecilia, and Paul. Their families have waited over 50 years for justice that has yet to arrive. Perhaps one day, a final piece of evidence or a solved cipher will finally bring this phantom into the light. Thank you for joining me in this deep dive into one of history's darkest mysteries. What is your theory? Who was the Zodiac? Let me know in the comments. If you found this investigation compelling, hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the world's most chilling cases. Stay safe and stay vigilant.